everybody. I'm Sandy, and today I have with me our guest. This is Simon, our social studies teacher at Weiss. Hi, Simon.
Hi, Sandy.
Okay, I'm going to start with some questions, Simon. The first one I'd like to ask you is, does explaining foreign policy ever make your head spin, or is it just the students?
Well, yeah, absolutely makes my head spin, and hopefully it makes the students' head spin too. I believe that once our heads are spinning, that's when we can really start to get down to what matters to everyone, no matter where they're from. Yeah, I think that's a great place to start.
How do you balance content delivery with fostering critical thinking and analysis in your students?
Well, content delivery and critical thinking are inseparable in social studies. The students must always be critical of any facts or information I give them. So I like to sprinkle in some falsehoods to get them thinking. I also like to ham up my Britishness and pretend that I hate all sorts of different countries, and just to amuse the students and to get them questioning my impartiality.
So what do you find the most rewarding about teaching social studies to middle and high school students?
For me, this teaching social studies is the most rewarding subject to teach, because as someone who's had a lifelong love of philosophy, teaching philosophy or teaching politics is really what philosophy is all about, and teaching young people middle and high school is really what philosophy is all about. So it gives me a great feeling to help the young people mature and become citizens of the world.
How do you make these subjects like history and politics relatable and interesting for your students?
It's not difficult. It's not difficult to make it relatable and interesting. Every student has already a piece of themselves in the world. Everyone comes from somewhere. Everyone lives somewhere, and so already has experience of what you might call like the more difficult ideas and complex factors that go into making our identities and making the world around them, and I just feel that students are naturally interested in these things.
What historical dates are worth remembering in specific detail, and which ones are best left vague?
So the ones that are best remembered specifically are the ones you really hate, the ones that cause your country the most trauma and discomfort, like 1066, when the French invaded Britain and killed our king. We'll never forget that one. But the ones left vague are the ones where where your country, where your favourite countries have been the best. So it could be 100 years, it could be 200 years, you know. That's just a joke, obviously. I'm not a big fan of specific dates. I feel that experiences are more important than dates.
Okay. The Soviet leader Vladimir Lenin once wrote that there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks in which decades happen. If so, do you think people are aware of this kind of time they are living in? And what kind of time are we living in now?
Wow, that's an amazing question. I think that people are more aware of the time they're living in than Vladimir Lenin was. The kind of common sense understanding of history that you find with your friends and neighbours, more grounded, more interesting perhaps than the ideas of Lenin and his in his sort. I'm afraid he's one of the very interesting characters that we have to talk about and discuss and try and understand in social studies.
Do you think the internet has affected how quickly history happens? And if so, like how quickly has the present history, like the present become history?
Well, it's fantastic. It's really, really profound event in history. That is the development of the internet and of information technology and what was called, since the 60s, been called the global village. And these events are enormous in history, and so it's fantastic. It's fantastic for studying social studies. It's a gift. So much information is available to us that it makes research really fun.
Would you say that this is the most important invention for social studies?
I think it's only just beginning. Yeah, I think the internet and AI are really earth-changing, history-changing events, and social studies is the subject that studies these events, and so it's a double win for us.
As a teacher, do you ever wish you could go back in time to teach history? And if so, what historical period would you go back to?
Yeah, of course. I wish we could always. I could take my classes back into time. I would like to go to every historical period and just see the reality of history for ourselves, and to walk amongst the Egyptians, or to go to Rome.
Do you have a favorite time period?
Yeah, the ancient Greeks. Ancient Greeks. I'd love to go to the marketplace, hear Socrates talk, and perhaps go and meet Aristotle. Go to his academy. That would be my favorite. Yeah.
How does the school support your growth as a teacher and your ability to impact students?
The school gives me lots of freedom to get to know the students and to find out what they're interested in, and I have a lot of freedom in the classroom to make connections between world history and the students' interests, and so it's the freedom, I think, is the most important thing, because that's what liberal education is, and that's what social studies teaches.
Do you ever feel like you should throw in a surprise pop quiz just to see who's actually listening in your class?
Quite often, yeah.
Have you ever done that?
I honestly hate doing quizzes. I like surprising the students, but I hate quizzes because I have to grade them. So I do sometimes throw them in, but only if I've run out of other things.
How has technology enhanced the way you deliver content or engage with the students?
It's fantastic to have so much technology at my fingertips. So rather than having to describe things to students, I can just show them. So yeah, it gives me amazing flexibility in the classroom.
How do you address sensitive or controversial topics in social studies, especially with students from diverse cultural backgrounds?
For me, this is one of the most exciting things about teaching social studies, is the diverse cultural backgrounds and unique experiences of my students. So I try and model what I believe is an appropriate way of dealing with these things. I play with my own identity as a British man, and so will objectify history from my point of view. Sort of sets an example of being honest and self-reflective and critical, while also being keen to find the positives in what is often a very complex reality.
Can you share some strategies or activities that you found particularly successful in maintaining your students' attention and participation?
Sure. My students and I love to play the old school games. For example, we do the hot seat game, which is just a classic. It's these old school face-to-face, low-tech games that make interaction between the students really fun and rewarding, while also helping them practice key concepts and vocabulary.
How do you see the role of social studies evolving in the future, especially in the context of rapid technological advancement and global change?
Well, it's especially the context of rapid technological change and the globalization that social studies fits. That is social studies. Essentially, in a nutshell, that's what we do. And so I think if anything, it just increases the importance of a really good education in social studies, because as the world develops, as our economies develop, the soft skills of understanding cultures and being a global person, as it were, become more important than the kind of technological skills, perhaps of as technology actually helps us to overcome that. For example, AI is going to help us with a lot of skills that were previously required of students to learn, and now are going to be available to them. So yeah, it's more about being creative and understanding people. I think that's the future of that's the future that our students need to be prepared for.
Yeah. My last question: if your students were a TV show, which one would they be? Do you think it would be a drama, a comedy, or a reality show? Why?
I definitely think there would be a reality show.
Yeah.
I personally, I like to sort of provide commentary on the reality as it unfurls. The students, each student is like a little drama in themselves, and it's wonderful to see them come together. So yeah, I would say it's like a reality show.
All right. Thank you, Simon. It was really nice having you here for this interview.
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.